Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our webinar on accessible travel, hosted by our friends at the Valor Study. My name is Jason Hopfoff, and I am the Community Support Coordinator for MSU. With us tonight, we have Taryn Smith with the Valor Study and Alvaro Silberstein, co-founder of Wheel the World, an online marketplace for seniors and people with disabilities to find and book travel experiences with all the accessibility details they need. Taryn?
Thank you, Jason. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. Although, full disclosure, I can't actually see your beautiful faces. Um, I want to wish everyone who has joined a happy Rare Disease Day. Leap Day and Rare Disease Day. It's fantastic. Like Jason said, I'm Taryn Smith. I am the Patient Evaluation Manager at Priovant Therapeutics. Priovant is the proud sponsor of the Valor study, and that is a global clinical trial for adults living with the rare autoimmune disease dermatomyositis, which I know that so many in this group are very familiar with. I have just a couple of quick slides to share with you, and then I will turn it over to our awesome speaker, Alvaro Silberstein. Oh, Alvaro, I'm sorry. I stumbled over it. All right, well, let me get this swapped over, friends. I hope everybody is snug with something good to eat or drink. Okay, can you all see my screen now? Are we
Yes.
good? Okay. All right. So as Jason mentioned too, this is the See the World on Your Terms webinar. Alvaro is an expert and is going to share great information with us. The webinar does come courtesy of the Valor study, which is a global clinical trial for adults living with dermatomyositis. A couple of high points about this trial. It is to date the largest clinical trial that's been done for adults living with dermatomyositis. The medication being studied is an oral tablet. It's called brepocitinib. And in this trial, most participants can stay on their current dermatomyositis treatments and still participate. There are a few medications that are not allowed in the trial, and my job is to help you figure out with your doctor if your current treatment regimen fits within the trial, and if not, what changes might work for you. But always, of course, those decisions are between you and your healthcare team. In this particular study, we also have a 2-to-1 ratio of people who are taking the study medication versus placebo. So as many of you know, placebo is in this case, a tablet that looks exactly like the medication being studied in the clinical trial, but there's not actually any active medicine in it. That's how science tells us what medications work and what don't. In typical clinical trials like this, for every 2 people who join, one person takes the study medicine and one person takes a placebo. Not so in the Valor study. For every 3 people who enroll, 2 of those folks are taking the study medication just at different doses, and one person is taking the placebo. So that translates into anybody who joins the study has an individual chance that is higher of getting the study medication than not. And I'm happy to chat over that more with anybody who's interested. Um, the trial does it. The vast majority of sites offer comprehensive assistance with travel, meals, hotel if needed, both for you and a caregiver, because we recognize that travel with dermatomyositis can be quite challenging. That said, you may be pleasantly surprised to find out how close a trial site is to you. So if you would like to hear more, please visit our website, which is www.valorstudy, study.com. And then, of course, I love to just remind folks that I am here to be your one-on-one connection to the trial. If you choose to chat with me, I promise to honor your story and also that I will be your primary point of contact. Fancy way of saying that you'll only have to explain your story once to get you to the study site. You'll always be chatting with me, not with a call center. All right. Whether or not you think you might be eligible for the study, please do consider signing up for a talk with me. You do that by visiting valorstudy.com and clicking on the button. It's kind of purple that says join the study. There's also a button that says check eligibility, which takes you to the same place. That is my calendar. All right. And the study is still enrolling. However, at some point we will be fully enrolled. So if you think you might be interested in the future, now is the time to schedule a chat so that we can get the ducks in a row to get you connected to the study if you decide you are ready to participate. All right. And with that, I will turn it over to Alvaro. We are all so excited to hear from you. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Taryn. I will present my screen. Please let me know when you are able to see it. All good? Awesome. Thank you. So, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure and honor to be here and talk about accessible travel. My name is Alvaro Silberstein. I'm 38 years old. I'm one of the founders of Wheel the World. And my story is I grew up in Chile, very far away. I now live in California, in Berkeley, California. When I was 18 years old, I had a car accident, broke my neck at level C5. I have a complete spinal cord injury since then. I've paralyzed my body from the chest down. I partially move my arms. I don't move the fingers of my hands, and I'm a full-time manual wheelchair user. Of course, the that situation, that's me in my wheelchair. That situation was really hard. It was very tough to accept such a tragedy and deal to learn to live, to do everything again. And one of the things that I asked when I was still in the hospital is would I would be able to travel again and go places that I really love going and explore new places. That was one of the very first questions I did to the doctors when I got injured, basically because travel was close to my heart, was something that I really loved. And as a teenager, I envisioned that I would be doing so much traveling moving forward, and of course, facing this difficult injury, I thought that this would not be possible anytime for me. And I realized through the years that I started gaining independence, understanding my injury, learning how to be a wheelchair user, how to move around. I realized that I was wrong. It was possible to travel. Also, I was realized that the world hasn't been designed for people with disabilities to navigate independently and to go places as anybody else. But it was possible, like making a lot of research, my accommodating, my maybe traveling with somebody else. And through the process, moving to the US, for years I gained much more confidence in myself and independence, and I get back to one of my dream destinations that I always wanted to visit at some point. That was this beautiful place. It's called Torres del Paine, in the south of the world in Patagonia, in the south of Chile. It's considered one of the 8 wonders of the world. As a Chilean, everyone who visits Chile wanted to visit this amazing place. I always dreamed to visit this place, and for many years I just thought that it was impossible given the lack of accessibility that I assumed that this place had. But with my good friend Camilo, who today is my co-founder at Will the World, we decided to explore to explore the chances. What were the chances of organizing a group with other 5 friends and visiting this place with me included as a wheelchair user? And we realized that there was zero information of accessibility, zero information on how to move around in this destination. We talked with experienced tour guides from Patagonia. They told us we have never seen a wheelchair here. We kind of proved that nobody else did the trip that we really wanted to do. So it was kind of a challenging moment in which we started with a lot of no's, trying to figure out how to do this trip. And we ended up finding a hiking wheelchair that it's manufactured in France. It's pretty expensive. It costs like $7,000. But it's a wheelchair that basically allows you to be pushed by trails that are not wheelchair accessible. And I thought that that would be a good equipment to navigate this place and do the trip that we wanted to do, by also researching the place, traveling before someone from our group of friends to figure out where to stay, how to move around, and kind of investigate how this trip make it possible. So that was the moment when we decided to transform a trip into a project. The very first time of a wheelchair user to complete the W trek in Torres del Paine National Park. Of course, to have a lot of fun and do something epic, but more important than that was to allow other people to repeat it after us and kind of raise the knowledge on how to do this trip when it comes to information of where to stay, how to move around, leaving the equipment that we would acquire here in the park so then other people could repeat it. So we were pretty successful on organizing my trip with my friends. I became the first person ever in a wheelchair to complete the W trek in Patagonia. Trust me when I tell you that it was the best experience in my life by ever being in the middle of nature after thinking for so many years that it was impossible for me to be in this place and enjoying it with my friends. It was just beautiful for me, for my friends, and also for the people who work in the travel industry in Patagonia. We generated a lot of beautiful pictures and videos, as the one that you are seeing, I'm showing here in the presentation, that it's me in the hiking wheelchair that we acquired and we left in Patagonia with my friends, looking to the mountains. And the great thing that happened more than me becoming the first one to do this trip is it happened afterwards, that our story went viral and hundreds of people, and when I mean viral, it was really viral. Like we were in the news. For example, this is a picture that we were featured by the San Francisco Chronicle. Mark Zuckerberg even, like, he posted a video in his Facebook about our story and about our trip to Patagonia. But we consider that just as an anecdote, because the most amazing thing that happened was that after this viralization, hundreds of people started reaching out to us from many places around the world saying how cool that trip that Alvaro did. I also have a disability. I also want to do this trip. I was a grad student at Berkeley, and I started not studying much and spending most of my time organizing this same trip to other people. People from California, from Florida, from Brazil, from Australia, from France, from Chile. They and their friends repeating this trip and going to this amazing place. And basically, why this happened? Because we had the information on how to do it, right? Where to stay, what was the accessible accommodation, how to move around, the equipment, and who were the people capable of assisting travelers on doing this adventure. And being a grad student, I always wanted to become an entrepreneur, and it was pretty evident, given also my past experience, that the challenge was way larger and way bigger, the opportunity, than just organizing trips to the end of the world in Patagonia, because people with disabilities face several challenges when traveling. Not only doing a crazy adventure in nature in Patagonia, but also where to find and book the accessible accommodations in Washington, D.C., or the accessible transportation in San Francisco, or the touristic activities that someone might want to do in Barcelona. Why? Of course, because not everything is accessible, but more important than that is that information of accessibility is not reliable, is very hard to find online, and this information, in order to be relevant for people with disabilities in general, needs to be very detailed, because every disability has a spectrum. Every person has different accessibility needs. So in order this information to be relevant, needs to go into details. because something is accessible or not, it depends what are your specific needs. The third thing that we realized is that in general, hospitality and tourism services and businesses, they don't know how accessible or inaccessible they are, making false statements on how is their accessibility. All this is causing that millions of people, when they travel, they really have bad experiences when using conventional services. And there's millions of others that they just don't rely on the industry because they don't want to pass through a bad experience. And the challenges are all over the value chain of travel, right? In terms of accessibility in accommodations, navigating accessibility in a city or in another destination, air and ground transportation, we all know that is a challenge. And also costs. It's real that many times, like, having additional disability-related costs makes travel also more challenging. Because of all this context is that we decided to found a company to solve this problem. It's Will the World. And we have a purpose as a company to make the world accessible. And since 2019, we have put together willtheworld.com, that is basically the Expedia for accessible travel. At willtheworld.com, people who needs accessibility, that means disabled people plus their companions, can find and book hotels, transportation services, tours and activities, travel packages, and group tours with all the accessibility details they need. Our value proposition is to guarantee the accessibility of every booking that is made in our platform. And we make this happen by three things. First thing is we are verifying in detail the accessibility information of every listing that can be booked at willtheworld.com. Secondly, based on each accessibility needs profile of each user, we recommend them what best fits their needs. And we post-booking, we guarantee with our partners, tour operators, hotels, you name it, that they block the accessibility needs that the users are willing to have. So far, more than 7,000 people from around 13 countries around the world has traveled booking trips with us. Something interesting is that not every person is disabled, the ones that have used our services. And the reason why is that on average, each of our bookings is 3 people. On average, 1 disabled person plus 2 companions. And more than 7,000 people, like around 85% come from the US, and they are traveling 50% domestically, so inside the US, 50% internationally. And how we do what we do? Well, we need to solve the information problem, as I mentioned before. And we are doing that by providing a kind of seal of approval for hospitality businesses. We built an app that is called the Accessibility Mapping System to digitize the detailed information of accessibility. We send mappers, that is people from our community, to do site inspections in hotels and tourism attractions so they can measure and take pictures and collect the details of accessibility that we really need to have. Once we collect these data points, this compares with our standards that we have defined through the process, and we can automatically, through our technology, build an assessment to that travel service so they can understand what works and what can be improved when it comes to accessibility. Additionally, automatically, these services, if they meet our requirements, are listed at willtheworld.com so our users can book it through us. And on the user side, and I might invite you to check it out, at willtheworld.com, our users, they sign up and the system asks you to respond questions about your accessibility needs, building your accessibility needs profile. That way the system has your information and can recommend you based on the information detail that we have collected from each of the services that can be booked at willtheworld.com, recommend you exactly what best fits their needs. So you have a confident booking decision that what you are booking is satisfying the needs that you have. And we have more than 4,000 products listings, we call it, to book it in more than 15 destinations around the world. We have partnered with destinations across the US and across the world that they're also collaborating with us on how to go more into details when it comes to getting the information of accessibility, promoting travel services and incentivizing them to become more accessible through online trainings, and recommending them to do the right investments to become more accessible. And we have also built a pretty beautiful community, I would say, of travelers with disabilities that they want to support our cause and they want to support each other on how to travel. If we add all our ecosystem is more than 100,000 people, this is growing all the time, and there are really active members, specifically through our Facebook community group that has more than 20,000 people that are recommending places to go, recommending hotels, indifferent if it's with something offered by Will the World or not, but they want to contribute each other and share their travel experiences. This has pushed us to create my favorite product that can be booked at willtheworld.com, that is group tours. And it's basically itineraries that are blocked for 15 people pretty much, and people from our community, they book it through us. Normally they don't know the other people that are joining that group, and they travel together, and it has been amazing, all the experience, the friendships, the connections that has been made in those groups, people then traveling together, people sharing experience, basically sharing the passion about traveling, and also being part of the disabled community and sharing all the challenges and experiences and happy things and hard things that we have to deal in our common lives. Also, Taryn asked me, because now I want to open it for discussion and Q&A, how you can get more information and more learnings about accessible travel. And I want to be objective, and I will not only recommend Will the World, because there's other alternatives as Accessible Go, that is also a travel platform to book accessible travel, Becoming Rentable, that is a service to book vacation rentals, something that we don't offer at willtheworld.com yet. I also recommend, because there's amazing accessible travel bloggers and influencers out there. One of my good friends, Corey Lee, with his blog Curb Free Lee, I recommend his Facebook, his Instagram, and also his blog. He has amazing content. He has traveled everywhere in his wheelchair, and it's pretty cool. Wheelchair Travel is also .org is a great content generator as well. I will recommend also our blog that we always have provide feedback on how to travel if you are a power wheelchair user, if you are a manual wheelchair user, if you have a multiple sclerosis. Also, we invite people from our community to write blog articles about traveling, so you are more than invited to contribute to that as well. And also I recommend you to joining the different travel communities that are out there. Of course, again, we have one that I really like, but there's other two if you want to compare and you want to find what's the most suitable for you. But I would say Facebook community groups also are great ways to engage with other people, communicate with each other, interact, and have good insights on how to immerse in the world of accessible travel. That, trust me when I tell you that it's amazing. Maybe you have fears on organizing your trip, some trip to any place. You prefer to be in your comfort zone, staying at home. I respect that, but I push you and I recommend you to, no matter what's on your disabilities or your challenges that you face, traveling, it's a great way to overcoming those challenges and overcoming your disabilities and and learning how to deal with them. It happened to me. It happened to, I would say, every person, the 7,000 people that have traveled with us. So thank you all for inviting me to share about accessible travel and Wheel the World, and more than happy to share experiences and talk about it now.
I just want to jump in and say thank you so much.
Thank you, Taryn.
I can only speak for myself, but my family teases me over how much I enjoy planning trips. And the minute we get off this webinar, I will be distributing Wheel the World to several family members who have accessibility needs. So thank you. This has me excited about traveling with them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. That was amazing, just knowing that there are options for people with disabilities that that want to travel. Because I'll tell you, during some of our support sessions, travel comes up a lot, and trying to figure out the best way to plan a trip. So that's, I love the fact that there are those options out there. If you guys are interested, we've got time now for any questions that you may have. Again, if you do have a question, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I think no matter if you're using, oh, there we go. Look, we have one. But no matter if you're using, a Mac, Windows based, or your phone or whatever, it's going to be at the bottom of the screen. So there is somebody here that's asking for recommendations for folks with immunocompromised status and severe allergies.
That's a good question. I would ask first if someone can give me context that I don't have at this moment on what are your specific needs when it comes to accessibility when travel, so I can give you context around that.
That is a good question. So if whoever posted that, if you could give us an idea of what type of stuff you were asking about.
Maybe I, in the meantime, like, I would say that the great thing about community is that, right? I mean, there's thousands of people in those communities. There are people are pretty responsible. Like every post has a lot of engagement. So I invite you to ask. When it comes to Wheel the World, we are offering hotels, ground transportation services, also like tours and activities, and we collect every single detail of the infrastructure, also this level of service that guides have, also the type of food that different tours may have, so to avoid any allergies in that topic. But yes, that would be my recommendation, to check it out, go into the details, to really make sure that you feel confident that what are your specific needs are fulfilled when you are booking a travel experience.
Yeah, they did put in here food allergies and multiple chemical allergies and severe susceptibility to infectious diseases.
Okay, so I would say there, like, in our case, the service that we have is that we have a team of travel experts that validate with our partners what are to make sure that we can meet that criteria, right? And many times the credibility is built when you say no, right? When you say, unfortunately, I cannot guarantee that, because it happens, right? It happens many times that there's some things that are not accessible for everyone, and we have to say, and we are really sad on doing that, but we prefer to do it that instead of like making someone have any chances of having a bad experience, to say no, like, this experience in this specific place unfortunately is not feasible for you. What about this one in this place that we really have a good partner and we can guarantee that any any risk of an infection or a food allergy might happen, right? So our approach there is to be very thoughtful and understanding that every person has different needs.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Lynn put in there that, it's just a comment, but she loves the focus on community. I totally agree with. To answer the question that somebody put in here about, somebody had submitted a question before today. Unfortunately, I do not have access to submitted questions, or else I would have loved to put those. But if you could possibly just post that, and I can definitely get that off. Elsbeth said you mentioned that you asked for details about accessibility needs. Can you outline some of the categories, e.g., transferabilities, toileting, etc.?
Yes. So, for example, let's say, for example, hotels accommodations. What are the key like accessibility features that we are measuring? The high and I will go to the more specific ones that are kind of random, but people who have accessibility needs kind of understand it because nobody else provides this information. The height of the bed is something that is very required by our customers. And every single hotel that you can book through Will the World, you can filter and you can check what's the height of the bed on the rooms that you can book through us. The width of the doors, the distance between the bed and the wall. If there's any space underneath the bed, and that's if you need a higher lift, right?
Mm-hmm.
What type of shower? It's a rolling shower, or it's an accessible bathtub. What's the height of the toilet? Does the toilet has grab bars around? What type of grab bars? What about for other type of disabilities? The contrasts through the past going to the accessible room. If it's any voiceover, if there's like a hearing aids pack in the hotel. So all those kinds of details are the ones that we collect, and you can find it on the website. And once you build your accessibility profile at willtheworld.com and you go to those hotels, you will see if that matches your needs or not.
Cheryl is asking, he says, I'm not in a wheelchair. However, I cannot walk far or fast, nor can I climb or hike. Would I still qualify? The idea of traveling the distance of an international airport is overwhelming.
Yes, I mean, definitely. I mean, we know we are aware that our name many times is like making people feel apart, and at some point we will need to change our name, so to become more inclusive, because as it's Will the World, people that doesn't use wheels may feel apart. But the reality is we have had many customers, travelers that they don't use wheelchairs on the daily basis. And for that, in your case, I would recommend use a wheelchair, not necessarily to buy one and bring one with you, but take advantage in the airport to require assistance, because you will not need to like walk long distances around the airport. You will receive assistance from someone from the airline to push you in a wheelchair through TSA, get into the gate. If you need go into the bathroom, the person will wait, and you will get first to inside the plane. So I would recommend that. And secondly, many times people, when book trips with us, they book it renting a mobility device at the destination. For example, in Costa Rica, we have like electric scooters that allows people who are challenged when walking long distances to go around the beautiful parks that they visit there in a mobility device that will allow them to go easier and better and exploring and enjoying more of the places. My grandmother, she loved me, but she never wanted to sit in a wheelchair. It was kind of like a proud thing for her. after many years, I make her, I convince her to use wheelchairs when she was going places, and then she acknowledged that was a good thing to do. Many times a wheelchair are seen as something that um, uh, is considered as something that makes a lot of barriers, but at the end of the day is something that it can open much our opportunities if you think somehow.
Perfect. Thank you. Don says good presentation, which I totally agree. Do you have information on toilet assistant devices like toilet lifts at available hotels? Don's got IBM and needs mechanical help getting on and off the toilet.
Yes, in many destinations, not everyone, we offer like Hoyer lift rentals to allow you to transfer easily, right? There's a good initiative with some hotels in Las Vegas that are installing ceiling lifts. That means that they are like already installed, and there's no need to bring an extra equipment, and they're part of the hotel, and you don't need to rent on anything. So that would be like a good way to solve that challenge.
Perfect. Thank you. Another person here says, just have a question. Have you or are you familiar with any airlines that have accessible bathrooms?
Whoa, that's a big topic, right? I mean, many times people ask, what's the better airline when it comes to accessibility? I would say none. All of them sucks, to be super honest, unfortunately. And it's very variable. You sometimes can have like a good experience with good assistance, sometimes sometimes it is not. Every plane by law needs to have an aisle chair inside the planes, right? And you can request the aisle chair if needed. And there's one type of airplane, Boeing 747, I think it is, that it has like a little bit larger space that can be open, so you can have like independence, and you can be more it easier for you to access the bathroom area. I would not consider that is accessible, to be honest. There's a lot of awareness and activism being done regarding how inaccessible is the airline experience, which is a reality. But I think it's going to change, and I think today there was an announcement. I can send it to you later about how like the laws are more enforced to uh, to to make a better design of airplanes in general. It will take a while because they're airplanes, right? And it's not easy to build them, but I think is moving in the right direction. But I think like best case, and you can check out Will the World blog. We have like very detailed blog content on how to prepare for a flight when you have a disability and when you need accessible bathroom, etc.
Perfect. Thank you. Kathy would like to know, do you find a substantial cost difference when traveling with a wheelchair? She lives in New Hampshire and very limited traveling because I find it very expensive.
I think that yes, it's many times we need people with disabilities. We need like extra assistance or extra equipment that makes travel more expensive, and also many times what's more accessible, that's changing a lot, but historically what's more accessible it's more the offering that is more on the luxury side, right? But that's changing, and I would say like today there's much more offering that it's that it's not the most expensive one, that can also be accessible, and that's part of our role as Will the World as well, is on how to figure out the most convenient and accessible ways in every aspect for people with disabilities to be able to travel.
Perfect. Somebody's asking about availability and accessibility of medical care in case of emergencies.
Good question. We require that every person that goes into a trip with us, they have an insurance, right? And they hire for an insurance. And we have partnered with a travel insurance company to have an insurance that has been designed for people who have disabilities. That would be my number one recommendation, would be not only to take the insurance, but also make sure that you are pretty sure on how to take action if you need the insurance, right? Who to call, where to go, because many times people just get the insurance and then when they need it, they don't know how to take action. And I think in advance, to make sure to know where to go, who to call, how to react, it's a good thing to go to make sure before your trips.
Perfect. Thank you. Somebody's asking, do you identify locations with track chairs available for navigating trails?
There's a pretty nice initiative of national parks, like implementing this like action track wheelchairs that I love them. I know that there's one in the Redwoods here in California. There's a few in the Oregon coast, also in some areas in Atlanta. So we haven't listed that in our ecosystem of information, but I'm pretty sure that it will be easy to find it online on Google. You can just like search for action track wheelchair and you will find definitely some information about that. And I think it's amazing. I have never used one of those, but they seem pretty cool.
Perfect. Deborah Michaels would like to know, on your hike, I am not going to try to pronounce it because I will just hack it, or any hike you recommend, is that beautiful hiking wheelchair rented right on site?
Yes, we have those types of wheelchairs in many places around the world. In the US, we have one in Zion National Park, other one in San Francisco, other one in Astoria in the Oregon coast, and they are available to be rented.
Perfect. I like that. James Matthew says, I'm happy to see Becoming Rentable listed. They do a great job of offering many filters. However, they just don't have many listings. Other sites seem to only offer hotels, but I greatly prefer condos or private homes. Until Becoming Rentable grows their network, is there any place you can recommend? Also, he says that most state parks in Michigan have track chairs available.
Awesome. Great to know. Thank you, Taryn, for the link. Yeah, it's tough. The vacation rentals is something more complicated, or condos compared to hotels, in my opinion. You can always check in Airbnb. They have a good filtering system. My experience has been that I haven't find too many options. So for example, in my case, my number one necessity when I travel is a rolling shower. And when I have tried Airbnb and I filter rolling shower, zero results anywhere that I have tried to use them. But you can try, maybe in the places that you want to go, you can find something that is feasible for you. And yeah, that would be the option. I don't see any other alternatives rather than Becoming Rentable for the moment. Why we haven't focused on that is because it's hard to find them. I mean, it's easier to find an accessible hotel than a vacation rental. So that's why, and it's more, and there's more structure when it comes to accessibility on how the hotels are designed. So that's why we haven't yet included vacation rentals in willtheworld.com.
Well, hopefully that one day in the future that somebody will have that.
Yeah.
One last question. Somebody's wanting to know: are service dogs allowed?
Yes, and that's one of the features that we also include in our inspection. If service dogs are allowed, there's some of them that they do. Most of them, there's some that they don't. Again, we would love that every hotel or every offering that we offer is dog friendly, and it's open to service dogs. That doesn't depend on us, but we have the clear and detailed information for you to make the decision.
Perfect. Thank you. Looks like we might have one more question. See, James also says, unfortunately, Airbnb and Vrbo only ask about wheelchair accessibility. And from experience, that only means you can get in the door. Other doors may be too narrow, which I have dealt with myself. I want to thank Alvaro and Taryn for this. This has been amazing. This is definitely something that, in the myositis community or, the disability community itself is something that a lot of us need. We don't want to be stuck at home. We love to be able to get out and go. So again, I want to thank you guys.
And we have to be grateful because every day is easier to get out and enjoy places, and the world is becoming more accessible every day. We have to be grateful because 30 years ago was much different and much harder, and I think being optimistic and being positive is a good way also to overcome challenges. And also invite you to sign up at willtheworld.com and try to use it. Give us also our feedback. We are in a continuous improvement process of trying to make our service better and better and competing for people with different accessibility needs.
Perfect. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.